Welcome. Today we're going to put on our detective hats to investigate a really fascinating literary puzzle. Who actually wrote the first three Gospels of the New Testament? Matthew, Mark, and Luke. They're often called the Synoptic Gospels because they share so many of the same stories. But the moment you open them up, you find a mystery right there on the very first page.
So right off the bat, we hit a major clue. The original texts themselves, they never explicitly name their authors. There's no written by Matthew the Apostle on page 1. And this anonymity? Well, that's the heart of our whole mystery. So where do we even begin to figure out who wrote them?
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll survey the scene, the anonymous Gospels. Then we're going to open up the case files on our three main suspects, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. After that, we'll get into some real detective work and crack the timeline to figure out when these were written. And finally, we'll weigh all the evidence and deliver a verdict on the whole tradition.
To solve this thing, we can't just rely on the texts by themselves. We have to look for clues both inside the Gospels and in the testimony of people who came right after them. This means we're going to have to be both literary critics and historical detectives.
Every good investigation really relies on two kinds of proof. First up, you've got internal evidence. These are the clues we can find right inside the text itself. Things like writing style, or maybe some unique little details. And then there's external evidence. This is the testimony from other ancient writers, who were basically the first historians of the church.
And here they are, our star witnesses. Now, these aren't just a bunch of random names. They form a real chain of testimony that stretches way back to the time of the apostles. What's so crucial here is that their testimony is just remarkably consistent. These guys were scattered all over the Roman Empire, from what's now Turkey to France to Egypt. And yet they all tell the exact same story about who wrote the Gospels. We're going to be hearing from them a lot during our investigation.
First up, let's open the case file on the Gospel of Matthew. The tradition that's been around forever is that it was written by the Apostle Matthew, who used to be a tax collector. So let's see if the evidence actually holds up. Okay, the biggest internal clue is this one fascinating little detail. When this Gospel lists the apostles, it's the only one that adds the title, the tax collector, to Matthew's name. Now, you gotta understand, in that culture, this wasn't some prestigious job. Oh no, it was deeply shameful. Tax collectors were seen as corrupt traitors working for the Romans. So ask yourself, why would anyone inventing an author for a secret book attach such a disgraceful title? This tiny, almost embarrassing detail, well, it actually screams authenticity.
Now for the external evidence. Our earliest witness, a guy named Papias, writing around 130 AD, tells us that Matthew compiled the oracles, which basically means the sayings of Jesus, in the Hebrew dialect. This almost certainly means Aramaic, the language everyone spoke in that region at the time. This is a huge clue. It suggests the very first version of this stuff came from a Jewish context, not a Greek one.
And the case just gets stronger with our next witness. About 50 years later, Irenaeus echoes the same tradition, but he adds two really crucial details. He calls the work a gospel, and most importantly, he gives us a time frame. He says it was published while Peter and Paul were preaching in Rome, and that pins the date firmly in the early 60s AD.
Okay, on to case file number 2, Mark. Now, what's so interesting here is that the tradition doesn't even claim this gospel was written by some famous apostle. Instead, it's attributed to John Mark, a guy who was supposedly the interpreter and scribe for the Apostle Peter.
Internally, the Gospel just feels like it's coming from an eyewitness. The style is really punchy, it's emotional, it's full of these vivid details, which sounds a lot like Peter's personality as he's described elsewhere. The whole outline of the book even mirrors a sermon Peter gives in the book of Acts. And then there's this weird, almost random detail about a young man running away when Jesus is arrested. A lot of scholars think that might be Mark putting a little personal cameo in his own story, kind of like Alfred Hitchcock used to do in his movies.
This right here. This is pretty much the smoking gun for Mark's authorship. Our earliest witness, Papias, is crystal clear. He says Mark was Peter's interpreter and that he wrote down what he remembered of Peter's preaching. That little phrase, not in order, probably just means that Peter preached topically, to fit his audience's needs, not in a strict chronological line. And Mark just compiled those teachings accurately.
And this isn't just a one-off comment from Papias. Irenaeus, Clement of Alexandria, and a bunch of others all repeat the exact same tradition. The Gospel of Mark is the preaching of Peter written down in Rome. The testimony is completely unanimous on this point.
All right, our final case file is on Luke. The tradition here is that this author was a doctor and a close traveling buddy of the Apostle Paul. And honestly, the internal evidence for this one is particularly strong.
So let's follow the breadcrumbs inside the text itself. First, it's super clear that the Gospel of Luke and the Book of Acts are a two-volume set written by the same person. Then, in the Book of Acts, the narrative suddenly switches from they to we, which tells you the author was right there, an eyewitness traveling with the Apostle Paul. And finally, the language. It's sophisticated, and the specific vocabulary used strongly suggests the writer was a highly educated person, quite possibly a physician, just like tradition says Luke was.
And sure enough, the external evidence backs it up perfectly. There's this early document called the Muratorian Canon from around 180 AD, and it explicitly names the author of this third gospel as Luke the physician, a companion of Paul. The clues from inside the text and outside the text just fit together like a puzzle.
So the evidence for who wrote them is pretty solid. But the second half of our investigation is when. And as it turns out, cracking the timeline for just one of these books can help us unlock the dates for all of them.
So here's where the timeline gets really juicy. Luke's second volume, the Book of Acts, it just ends. It's really abrupt. Paul is under house arrest in Rome around 63 AD, and that's it. Story over. But what's missing is just shocking. The book never mentions the Great Fire of Rome and Nero's insane persecution of Christians. It never mentions the execution of its own hero, Paul. And it definitely never mentions the single most catastrophic event of that century for Judaism, the complete destruction of the Jerusalem temple in 70 AD. Why would you leave out these massive events? Well, the most logical explanation is pretty simple. Acts was written before they happened.
So, here is the crucial point. If the book of Acts was finished around 63 AD, then its first volume, the Gospel of Luke, must have been written even earlier, sometime in the late 50s or very early 60s. This gives us a really solid anchor for our timeline. It puts at least one of the Synoptic Gospels well within the lifetime of the actual eyewitnesses.
So when we put all the clues together, a really consistent timeline starts to emerge. The traditions about Matthew, the logic from the book of Acts for Luke, and all the testimony about Mark writing in Rome. It all points to the same basic conclusion. All three of these Gospels were likely written and circulating well before that critical date of 70 AD.
So, after going through all the evidence, what's our final verdict on who wrote these Gospels and when?
The verdict? The evidence for the traditional authors is incredibly strong. This isn't some late legend. It's early, it's widespread, and it's totally unanimous. I mean, no other authors were ever even suggested in the ancient world. And think about who these guys are. One apostle, sure, but then two secondary figures like Mark and Luke. If you were just inventing authors to give your book credibility, wouldn't you pick more famous names? This, combined with the early dating, strongly suggests these accounts were written within just a few decades of the events themselves, while eyewitnesses were still around.
And that leaves us with one last big question. If these accounts aren't late, anonymous legends, but are in fact early testimonies from eyewitnesses or their direct associates, what does that imply about how reliable they are as history? Well, that's a question that's definitely worth looking into. Thanks for joining me.